She had been called nobody her whole life. No parents, no name worth remembering, no place she truly belonged. What she didn't know, what nobody told her, was that the most powerful criminal empire in South Korea had been built around one single purpose: keeping her alive. They called me nobody. Not to my face. People rarely have the courage for that. But I heard it in the way senior staff walked past me like I was furniture, in the way security never held the elevator, in the way my name tag said cleaning staff and nothing else. My name is Elsie, 26 years old, born in Lagos, raised in a children's home in Abuja. Somewhere in between, I stopped asking who my parents were. The question always came back empty. 3 months ago, I took the only job I could find in Seoul, cleaning floors at Shin Group Holdings, one of the city's most powerful corporate empires. What nobody told me was that behind those glass towers and tailored suits, Shin Group was the financial spine of the most feared criminal syndicate in South Korea. I found that out the same week the old patriarch died, the same week his son arrived. Ji-sung Shin, 33 years old, sharp jaw, colder eyes, a reputation that entered rooms before he did. I watched him walk in that first Monday from behind my mop cart. Staff straightened as he passed. 3 people were fired before noon. I kept my head down. I was good at invisible. Invisible had kept me safe my whole life. But that morning, something pulled me toward the east corridor on the 42nd floor, the Patriarch's private archive. I had cleaned that floor 100 times. This time, the door was cracked open. Inside sat a box marked for disposal. On top of it, a sealed envelope. The name on it stopped my blood cold. For Elsie, when it is time. My hands were shaking when I picked it up. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, sealed with red wax. Old. The ink on my name had faded at the edges, written years ago, kept in the dark, waiting. For Elsie, when it is time. I had never told anyone in this building my name. My badge said Staff E. I cleaned these floors in silence. No file, no record, no history. I was nobody. So whose handwriting was this? I turned it over. No return name. Just a small symbol pressed into the wax. A crane in flight. I should have left. Instead, I pressed the envelope to my chest and stepped toward the window light. That's when the door opened behind me. Ji-sung Shin filled the doorway like a verdict. His security moved first, 2 men stepping forward, but Ji-sung raised one hand and they froze. He looked at me slowly. Not with rage, with the specific contempt of a man who has already decided. That room is restricted. I know. The door was open. I saw Your name is on nothing in this building. That sentence hit differently than it should have. Like he was right. Like he'd always been right. Like my whole life had been proof. He extended his hand. Give it to me. There's a name on this. My name. He looked at me the way people look at things that don't belong. You are a cleaning attendant. Take your things and leave this floor. Your contract is terminated, effective now. Security moved. Someone grabbed my arm. The envelope slipped from my grip. As they walked me out, Ji-sung Shin bent down and picked it up. I walked home in the afternoon light like something hollow. 3 months of early mornings, 3 months of cleaning floors that would never remember me. Gone, because I picked up an envelope with my own name on it. I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at my hands. This was not new. Being thrown away was not new. The children's home had released me at 18 with a small bag and a form letter. Every job before this one had ended in something quiet and final. I had learned early that the world was not built with space for me in it. But that envelope. For Elsie. When it is time. Someone had written my name. Someone had kept something for me. Someone had believed there would be a time. I closed my eyes and pressed my palm flat against my chest. Who was it? The old patriarch had died 4 days ago. The papers called him Shin Dae-won. feared, brilliant, ruthless. A man who built an empire from nothing and left it to his only son. His only son. I pulled out my phone and searched his name. A formal portrait loaded. An older Korean man, silver-haired, composed, eyes carrying something between strength and sorrow. I almost scrolled past. Then I saw his wrist. A thin bracelet. Dark beads. Nigerian-made. The exact kind my children's home matron said came from my mother's belongings when I was left there as an infant. I set the phone down. Outside, Seoul moved on in its ordinary, indifferent way. Inside my small room, something ancient and impossible had just begun breathing. I didn't sleep that night. Ji-sung didn't open the envelope that night. He sat in his father's office, his office now, and turned it over in his hands. The crane seal. The faded name. The weight of it, heavier than paper should be. He told himself it was irrelevant. A coincidence. He had an empire in transition, a council watching for weakness, 3 rival organizations already testing boundaries since his father's death. He did not have time for envelopes. He locked it in his desk drawer. At 2 a.m., he unlocked it. The letter inside was handwritten. His father's script, unmistakable. 3 pages. The date at the top was 6 years ago. Ji-sung, if you are reading this, I am gone. And there is something I kept from you. Not from shame, from love, the kind that requires sacrifice to survive. Her name is Elsie. She does not know what she is. She does not know me. I made sure of it, because knowing me was dangerous. But she carries my blood, and she carries a claim to everything I built. She is your elder half-sibling. She is the first heir. Find her before the council does. Ji-sung read the letter 4 times. Then he turned to the personnel file his security team had already assembled on the terminated cleaner. Lagos-born. Abuja Children's Home. No living relatives on file. 1 photo from her staff ID. He stared at it for a long time. Then he reached for his phone. Find out where she lives. Tonight. I'm going myself. Before we go further, if you were Elsie, would you open that door? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story already has you feeling something, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Now back to the story. The knock came at midnight. I didn't answer. I'd already been thrown out once today. I wasn't opening doors for strangers. Elsie! His voice came through the wood, flat, controlled, but different from this morning. I read the letter. I pressed my back against the wall and said nothing. My father wrote it 6 years ago. He knew your name. He knew where you were. A pause. He knew everything. I opened the door 3 inches. Ji-sung stood in my narrow hallway wearing the same suit from this morning. Tie gone. Top button open. A man who had spent hours arriving at a conclusion he didn't want. He held out the envelope. This belongs to you. I took it and stepped back to let him in. He sat across from me at my small table and watched in silence as I read. I read every word twice. Then I set the papers down and looked at the old photo I'd carried from the children's home. My mother's face, young and laughing. Then I looked at Ji-sung. He loved my mother, I said. Yes. And he hid me. To protect you. His jaw tightened. The council, the elders beneath the business, they would have used you, or removed you. So he kept me invisible. Silence settled between us like a third presence. Your whole life, he said quietly, was his protection. I thought about every door that had closed, every job lost. Every morning I woke up not knowing where I came from. His father had loved me enough to erase me. I put my face in my hands and wept. Ji-sung did not leave. He sat across from me while I cried, not with comfort, not with words, just with presence, like he understood that some grief needed a witness. When I finally lifted my head, he placed a small leather journal on the table. My father's, he said. I've been reading it since he died. I thought I understood him. I opened it carefully. The pages were dense with his handwriting. Business, strategy, decisions. But near the back, the tone shifted. Softer. Personal. She laughs like someone who has decided joy is a choice. I fell in love watching her refuse to be diminished. Her name was Adéise. She called herself Ada. She made me want to be someone worth knowing. I traced the words with my fingertip. My mother's name. Ji-sung nodded once. She died when you were 3 months old. He wanted to bring you to Seoul. The elders found out about Ada and gave him an ultimatum. His voice was careful. He chose to hide you rather than lose you. He chose to be absent. He chose to keep you alive. We sat with that weight between us. Eventually, Ji-sung turned to the journal's last written page and slid it toward me without a word. Elsie, if you ever find this, know this. You were never nobody. You were always the one I protected most fiercely. The empire is noise. You are the legacy. Forgive me for the silence. I hope the truth speaks louder. I looked up. Ji-sung's eyes were wet. He turned away quickly, the way proud men do when emotion arrives uninvited. Neither of us spoke. We didn't need to. The call came at dawn. Ji-sung stepped outside to take it, and I stood at my window watching the city wake below. Something had shifted between us overnight. Not warmth exactly, but recognition. Like two people carrying the same weight in different rooms, finally sharing the same space. When he returned, his face had closed again. Elder Kang knows you exist. Someone in my security team reported last night's visit. What does that mean? It means we have less time than I thought. I'll take you somewhere safe While you what? He stopped. While you decide what to do with me? I stepped forward. Whether I'm an asset or a problem, whether it's safer to acknowledge me or make me disappear again like your father did. That's not. I heard you on the phone, Ji-sung. My voice was steady, even as my chest broke. You said you needed to manage the situation. That's what I am to you. A situation. Guilt crossed his face, fast, then buried. The council controls distribution of the estate. If I present you without a strategy, then be honest with me. Don't protect me the same way he did. I'm not 3 months old anymore. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said the wrong thing. You don't understand how this world works. And there it was. The same sentence, a different mouth, the same meaning underneath. You don't belong here. I picked up my bag. Then I'll figure it out somewhere else. I walked past him. He didn't stop me. I made it 4 blocks before the black car pulled alongside me. Not Ji-sung's. Different plates, tinted windows. 2 men stepped out. One of them said Elder Kang sent his greetings. I ran. I didn't make it far. They had me in a car within 90 seconds. Phone taken. Driving toward the waterfront. I sat in the back seat with my hands in my lap and thought about a children's home in Abuja. A matron who told me I had my mother's eyes. An envelope that had waited my whole life. I thought about Ji-sung's face when I walked out. 30 minutes later, the car stopped. The door opened from outside. Ji-sung stood there alone at the warehouse entrance, hands at his sides. His security team already had both men. He looked at me with something I had never seen on his face before. Relief. I called ahead of you, he said quietly. I've had Elder Kang's movements monitored since last night. He paused. I was never going to let you walk into danger. You let me walk out angry. Yes. He exhaled slowly. I should have said this before you left. He came closer, crouching to my eye level where I sat in the open car doorway. Tomorrow I'm going before the full council. I'm presenting your documents, the DNA evidence, my father's will, everything. I'm naming you the rightful heir publicly, in front of all of them. Why? He looked at me like the answer was the only honest thing he had left. "Because he loved you enough to hide you," he said. "I'll love you enough to be seen standing beside you." My heart cracked open quietly. The council chamber was cold and full of men who had never expected to bow to a woman. I wore deep green, my mother's color, Ji-sung had told me, from a passage in his father's journal. I sat beside him at the long table and did not look away from a single face. Ji-sung placed the documents at the center. The will, the DNA results his father had sealed with a trusted lawyer for years, the letters, the journal. Elder Kang rose immediately. "This woman is a stranger. She is Shin Dae-won's firstborn." Ji-sung's voice filled the room without effort. "She holds prior claim to this estate by blood and by written instruction. The inheritance belongs to her. I am naming her publicly, because hiding her is exactly what endangered her in the first place." Silence, thick as stone. Then, one by one, the elders who understood power better than pride bowed their heads. Elder Kang was escorted out by the end of the hour. Years of diverted funds, money meant for Elsie, were frozen pending full review. Afterward, Ji-sung and I stood alone in the corridor. "You don't have to take the seat," he said. "The estate is yours regardless. You can walk away from all of it." "I know." "What do you want, Elsie?" I looked at him, the man who fired me, then found me, then chose me in front of everyone. "I want to stop being invisible," I said. He reached out slowly and tucked a strand of hair from my face. His hand stayed at my jaw, warm, careful, certain. "You were never nobody," he said softly. "You were the secret this empire was never worthy of." And for the first time in 26 years, I believed it. If this story moved you, subscribe right now. We release new stories every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Comment below. Did Ji-sung earn Elsie's trust, or was his apology too late? And would you have gone back for the council meeting, or walked away forever? Tell us everything. See you in the next story.